Your parrot says, I love you every single morning, right on cue, before you've even made coffee. Everyone tells you it's just mimicry, a trick, a trained sound, nothing actually behind it. But one African gray spent 30 years quietly wrecking that explanation, one test at a time. And by the end of this, you'll know what he said the night before he died. That gray parrot's name was Alex, and the scientist who spent 3 decades with him, Irene Pepperberg, wasn't trying to teach him to repeat words. She was testing whether he understood them. She used something called the model/rival technique. Two humans demonstrate a conversation in front of the bird, one asking questions, the other answering and getting praised or corrected. So Alex could watch language actually being used for something instead of just hearing it aimed at him. Then she'd hold up a blue wooden triangle and ask him what color, what shape, what material, and Alex would just answer, not recite, answer. By the time he died in 2007, he could label roughly 50 objects, 7 colors, 5 shapes, and count small sets, up to 6, without ever getting a food reward for saying the right thing. Which means somewhere in a lab in Arizona, a bird was quietly outscoring plenty of humans on a pop quiz. He wasn't alone in that. Griffin, a second gray in Pepperberg's lab, learned the same tasks faster, with less training. A cockatoo named Snowball became internet famous not for words but for rhythm, bobbing precisely on the beat of a pop song, which tells researchers something surprising about how deeply timing and sound get wired together in these brains. And Kias, mountain parrots from New Zealand, have been recorded solving multi-step mechanical puzzles that would stump plenty of 4-year-olds. Then there's Nkisi, a gray parrot in New York, whose 950-word vocabulary got tested under strict double-blind conditions, meaning neither Nkisi's owner nor the researcher scoring him knew which photo he was reacting to, and he still matched what he said to the right image far more often than chance would allow. Except here's the swerve skeptics love to bring up. However carefully Pepperberg designed her tests, some psychologists argue there's still a clever hands problem hiding underneath all of it. The same effect that made a horse in Germany, back in 1907, appear to do arithmetic, when really it was just reading tiny, unconscious cues from its trainer's posture. Maybe Alex wasn't answering questions at all. Maybe he was just extremely good at reading Irene. Here's where it gets more interesting than a simple yes or no fight, though. Whatever was going on in Alex's head, there's a hard biological fact underneath the whole debate. Parrots can do something almost no other animals on Earth can do. It's called vocal learning, the ability to hear a brand new sound and actually reshape your own vocal output to copy it, instead of being born knowing only a fixed set of calls. Your dog can't do this. Say good boy in exactly the same tone 1,000 times, and your dog will never learn to say it back, because the wiring for that kind of copying simply isn't there. Most people also assume any bird can pick up talking if you just work with it long enough. Not true. Out of roughly 11,000 bird species on Earth, real vocal learning has only ever shown up in 3 lineages: parrots, songbirds, and hummingbirds. Everything else, including crows croaking and chickens clucking, is running on a fixed, hardwired set of sounds no amount of practice will ever expand. On top of that, parrots aren't even using the same organ we do. We push air through a larynx at the top of our windpipe. Birds use something called a syrinx, positioned lower down, right where the windpipe splits in two, which lets some parrots control both branches independently and layer 2 pitches into their voice at once, a trick no human throat is physically built to pull off. Duke University neuroscientist Eric Jarvis spent years mapping exactly which brains have that wiring, and the list is oddly short. Songbirds, parrots, hummingbirds, a handful of whales and bats, elephants, and us. Jarvis found that parrots and humans independently evolved strikingly similar brain circuits for it, even though our last common ancestor lived over 300 million years ago and definitely never said a word. Evolution apparently landed on this trick only a handful of times, and somehow a brain the size of a walnut is one of them. None of that proves Alex knew what love meant when he said it, or that any parrot experiences words the way we do. That gap between an animal producing the right sound and an animal actually meaning something by it might never fully close. Nobody's got a way inside a parrot's head to check, but the broader scientific consensus has been sliding in one direction for years. In 2012, a group of prominent neuroscientists gathered at Cambridge University and signed what's now called the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness, a document stating plainly that birds carry enough neurological complexity to support some form of conscious experience. Alex didn't need to feel exactly what we feel. He just needed to feel something. And the evidence kept pointing that way. So here's what actually happened the night before Alex died, on September 6th, 2007. Pepperberg was leaving the lab like she did every evening, and Alex said what he always said when she left. "You be good. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow." He was found dead in his cage the next morning, from a sudden cardiac event nobody saw coming. He was 31. Gray parrots, in the wild, sometimes live twice that long. Every decade, the line between just an animal and someone in there keeps getting redrawn a little further out. It happened with primates first. It's happening now with birds, and it's starting to happen with fish, and even some insects. The list of things that supposedly separate us from everything else keeps getting shorter, not longer, which puts a strange responsibility on anyone who owns one of these birds or is thinking about it. In the wild, African greys live in flocks that can number in the hundreds, constantly negotiating, mimicking, and reacting to each other from sunrise to sunset. A parrot that can plan, remember, and possibly grasp what a word stands for is also a parrot that can get profoundly bored sitting alone in a cage for 8 hours a day, and boredom in an animal that sharp doesn't stay quiet. It shows up as feather plucking, screaming, a personality that sours over years. If Alex's brain could do all of that, theirs probably can too. Next time your own parrot says "I love you" back at you on some random Tuesday morning, before you've even had your coffee, maybe don't roll your eyes at it as just a trick. Maybe it's a brain built for copying sound, doing the one thing it might genuinely understand how to do, telling you something real. There's a lot more of this we haven't gotten to yet. If you want to keep chasing stranger minds with us, stick around.